Welcome back to r/LegalAdvice, where people ask questions, get advice, and we get satisfaction. If you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community, and without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, I removed my little sister from an unsafe home and involved social services and police, and they are going to send her back. I am 27 and my sister is 11. We are in Scotland. Our mother has always been abusive and neglectful. She's not physically abusive to my younger sister, but she was to me and our sisters. To my little sister, she is emotionally abusive. She calls her names, shouts and screams at her, forces her to take part in animal cruelty by banning my sister from feeding cats. This is my sister's chore. If she doesn't do it, the cats don't get fed. Her and her partner also kick the cats in front of her. If my sister shows any sort of negative emotion, my mother threatens to prevent her seeing family, going on school trips, etc. My stepdad hits her on the head and pulls her hair, passes it off as a joke. My sister has repeatedly told him not to, but it does not stop. He has also shared a bed with my sister, and it is important to point out that this was not a normal occurrence for our family, and it also happened away from home after my mother had left. My sister has told me that he is creepy and he stares at her and she is uncomfortable. The house is a mess, there's no flushing toilet, there's no heating, dishes have to be done in the bathroom because my mom took the pipes from under the kitchen sink and could not get them back on. The place is filthy. There are boxes in the bathtub, the spare room is filled with rubbish bags. My mother's bedroom is such a mess that she sleeps in the living room. My sister always smells bad when she first comes to visit. Social visited a few weeks ago regarding the mess and said they wanted to get my sister a new mattress. My mom is an alcoholic and her boyfriend just sits upstairs getting stoned all day. Sister came to me for a weekend visit in a completely different part of Scotland and disclosed a lot to me. She refused to go home and so I did not send her home. Instead I contacted social services and the police. They assured me that she would not be sent anywhere she does not want to go. I took her to her grandparents so that she could still attend school while I finished the last 2 weeks of uni. Today, a social worker has spoken to my sister and decided that she is not at risk. They believe my sister and myself but have said it is not serious enough to warrant removal from the home. If my mom wants her back, then she has to go back. If we don't send her home, the police will come and take her home. My sister does not want to see my mother right now, let alone live with her. My mother has already stated that she will be punished by having her electronics removed and being banned from seeing me. Sister's dad is not on the birth certificate, so has no rights. Is there anything at all that I can do here? I just want her to be safe and happy, and in that house she is neither of those things. And a user in the comments said, Hi, I'm not a lawyer, but my parents foster, so I have some experience of social work. A large part of the problem will be evidence. While her situation is awful, there is no immediate risk of harm which would make a removal the decision of the social work team independently. For her, unless she makes a serious disclosure, which I hope she never has to, her social worker will have to gather evidence for an independent panel to make a decision, and without adequate evidence they will side with her mother. Could you visit the home more, document the unchanging conditions, lack of heat, etc. and phone either your sister's social worker or the duty social worker number for the area to report it, and mention that despite reporting before and social work involvement, nothing is changing. Tell your sister to tell her class teacher, pupil support assistant or anyone at school every time she has no breakfast, every day there's no heat so she cannot maintain hygiene, every single time either parent lays a hand on her, get her to show bruises if they leave any. Encourage her to speak up about how anxious and sad the situation is making her feel. I am a PSA, I have a duty of care to write down every concern which is then passed to my head teacher who contacts social work. I cannot take pictures, but every year I am trained to write down the exact words kids use. I know this is not super helpful, but I hope it helps. The advice above is also great. I don't know how the legal side works, but from social work point of view, this should help. You are admirable for wanting to help, and I hope someone offers more help and there is a legal way to help your sister. And guys, if you have watched until here, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments if you enjoy my content. Thank you very much in advance, I really appreciate your help. Update to the little sister's story. My mom was convinced to let my sister live with her grandparents for a while. It helped that we had just gone into lockdown and so she did not have to be in school physically. She ended up coming to live with me a month or so later. At the same time, we also found out that the man we thought was her father is not. This made our other family members more vocal about their opinions and they all told our mother my sister should live with me. I enrolled her in a school in my town and I have temporary parental rights and responsibilities along with a temporary residence order. My sister is happy and safe. She is enjoying high school and has made a group of close friends. She is developing her sense of self and she is doing well at school and has taken up the guitar and painting. She is pretty much your standard 12-year-old, which is more than I could ask for given everything that has happened. Thanks for all the advice. And well, ripe stars, if I've ever seen a swift, satisfying and wholesome ending, then this is definitely one of those. I am very glad for OP and his sister that this story ended in a positive manner. And the next one is titled, Landlord keeps making excuses for coming into my flat when I am out. I am at my wit's end and I am having mental health issues because of this. My landlord keeps coming into my flat almost every day. I come home and he is in there or has been in there and left a note. I cannot stand this anymore. He always has some excuse and keeps blaming me because it is a pandemic and I should not be out of the house anyway, and one time I left a tap on a trickle and the sink clogged and overflowed, but that was a year ago. He comes in and uses my toilet and puts sticky notes on any mess I left. I got into bed and there was one on my pillow saying I need to make my bed more. I cannot take this, but I cannot change the locks. I called the police once months ago, but they said he needed access for an emergency because there was water leaking, but that was only once and it was a year ago. Can I stop paying rent or something until he stops? Surely it cannot be right. He waits until I am out and then comes in and eats my food and uses my toilet and moves things about. Forgot to add, I am in England. And a user in the comments said, you are allowed to live in the property undisturbed. Changed the locks, it is his house but your home. If he complains about you changing the locks, go to the citizens' advice and see what they say. Without question, he cannot just walk in and around your house. It is weird, especially leaving notes on your pillow, etc. And another person said, this is harassment, which is a police matter. Keep a detailed log of every time he enters and take photos of anything he has done. Of the post-it notes, etc. Let the police know on each occasion. And guys, this person should probably get the prize for being one of the creepiest landlords we have ever heard about. Have you ever had any trouble with your landlord? Let us know in the comments. Update to the insane landlord story. I have both good and bad news about this. Last Monday morning I set up cameras watching my bedroom and my living room and my kitchen. He came in every day. Every single day he came into my flat as if it was his own flat and sat down to watch TV and ate lunch and even did some washing up. He never did anything weird, he just came in and did that and then used my loo. He only went in the bedroom once and left a note about me leaving a mess of dirty clothes on Friday because I do all of my washing over the weekend so it builds up. After I came home on Friday, I wrote a letter telling him that I need 24 hours notice before he comes in and that I would be changing the locks so not to try again without letting me know, and if he needed to come in for maintenance, I would let him in. I dropped that in his post box and changed the locks out. Well, yesterday morning his son came around. I guess he gave him a call ranting. I didn't know any of this, but it looks like this is the last straw and his son is going to be taking over as my landlord soon as his father has dementia and it has been getting worse. They did not know he had been going into my flat, but now they do, and it looks like something is going to happen. He asked me to send him over copies of the notes and videos. and they are going to look into getting a carer and moving responsibility for the flat to his son. My name is the same as his son, and his son lived in this flat for a few years when he was in uni, so he was thinking that maybe his father overlapped us in his mind and was trying to be a good father, because that is what he did when his son lived here. He would come over and tidy and leave notes. I'm sorry, this update is not full of excitement or me calling the police or taking him to court for the deposit. He is an old man with a mind that is going downhill, so I feel for him and his family now. I lost my nan to dementia, so I know it is awful. His son said he would be looking into the deposit because it sounds like his father has made a big mess of all the financial stuff and in keeping up with things recently. Finding out about him going in my flat gave them a shock and told them he was not in the right mind to be handling things anymore. I am hoping they can take care of him. Well guys, but I would say at least we have some sort of closure here and know that the landlord is not actually some crazy person, it is just a poor old man with dementia. And I really hope that the family can take care of him, and I wish all of the parties involved the best. And the next one is a little bonus story from r/ripe stories posted by user Mama-san, and it is titled "Little Kids Will Eat Anything." Small children between ages 2 and 4 years will put anything in their mouth. My older sister drank a bottle of green shoe polish. She thought it was Kool-Aid. My parents had to rush her to the hospital to get her stomach pumped. Naturally, my brother had to eat something worse. While playing, some neighborhood kids broke an Etch-a-Sketch. They then dared my brother to eat the inside. It was mercury, and my brother was rushed to the hospital to have his stomach pumped. Of course, your diva topped that. I had discovered the baby aspirin. Now every parent will buy a new bottle when the current bottle gets low. Also back then we did not have child safety lids. I was found eating the baby aspirin like candy, so I was rushed to the hospital to get my stomach pumped. Thanks to no car seats at that time, I was loose in the back of our station wagon like a wild little monkey. At the hospital, I was placed on a gurney to be rushed in. I immediately stood up and started dancing. My poor mother tried to get me to lay down on the gurney, but the orderlies told her to let me be. When they pumped my stomach, they discovered I had eaten within 5 of a lethal dose. I became one of the cases that went before Congress to limit the number of aspirin in a baby aspirin bottle. Also, these cases led to the invention of child-safe caps for medicine bottles. And you know guys, speaking of medicine, one thing I really miss here in Thailand is when you go to a pharmacy here, they usually don't have these super delicious, let's say healthy or so-called healthy gummy bears that pharmacies in the West often have. I mean, sometimes they have some kind of knockoffs, but they don't really taste good. For me, that is what makes going to the pharmacy usually a treat. And the next one is another bonus story from r/ripe stories posted by user Glow1958, and it is titled "No Wonder the House Had Mold." My father helped us buy our first house, a 900 square feet 3-bedroom ranch on a slab. A realtor friend of his who knew that he was something of a genius at remodeling a house, it was his hobby, he remodeled his basement rec room twice and his kitchen 3 times, as well as 2 of the 3 bedrooms, suggested that we could get the house cheap because the previous owner had told the bank that she could not and would not live in it any longer. The reason for this was because something was wrong, and after never having had more than a cold her whole life, she and her normally well-behaved and litter-trained cat had been sick the entire time she lived there, and the only time she was not sick was when she went out of state for a funeral, only to get sick again as soon as she returned home. The bank had paid for the house inspection, so they took the house back due to a questionable inspection. We got it cheap. The bank was so anxious to get rid of it that they lent an additional $3,000 to pay for renovations. We took every bit of drywall out as there was black mold up to 6 feet high in almost every corner. Before we hung new drywall, we put in pink roll insulation. We, with help from friends and family, were able to turn the house around and move in 2 months 2 weeks after our daughter was born. During the renovations, Dad had a friend of his get up on the roof and take off the chimney cap and check it out while we took the vent pipes loose from the furnace and hot water heater in the utility closet to look up the flue. And guys, I suppose in this case the flue means a pipe or something that takes the hot air from a fire or heater to the outside of the building. But please correct me if I'm wrong there. Anyway, we could not see up and he could not see down. The chimney was totally blocked. He asked for one of us to toss a 2x4 up to him, so I did, and after about 5 minutes of using a 2x4 as a pile driver, a 6-inch thick bird's nest made of twig and mud came out of the bottom of the chimney flue. We knew that the house had sat vacant for over a year before the previous owner had bought it. It turns out she had moved in at the beginning of an unnaturally cool autumn, and with the house having no insulation, had to run the furnace almost constantly. No wonder the woman had been sick the whole time she lived there. Her and her cats had been suffering from carbon monoxide poisoning. We loved that little house and lived in it for 14 years up until my wife's grandmother made us an offer that we found hard to refuse, live rent and mortgage free in the other side of her double to help her take care of the place. My wife had always wanted to live in that house, so we went from one happily ever after to another. Life is good. And the last one is another bonus story from r/Ripe Stories, and it is titled Nasty Treasure for a Porch Pirate, a short revenge story. Posted by user Os Oaken Shield. Or Os, I'm not sure. Anyway, this just happened a week ago today. After my band practice, I am driving home, daughter and electric piano in tow, and once I have parked, I walk to my apartment door to unlock it. I noticed that there is nothing waiting for me at my door. I was expecting 3 packages from a very well-known retail website. One of those 3 packages was a set of plastic toy horses for my 3-year-old cousin. She absolutely loves horses. I knock on my neighbor's door, he answers the door, and I ask him if he had seen any packages outside the door. He said he had, and in fact seen them. He also told me that he saw them at 4:30 p.m. that day, but by 6 p.m. they were gone. That is when I knew that they had been stolen. I was livid. My 10-year-old daughter knew that maybe one of the packages could have possibly been her Christmas gift. I checked via my phone and no, her gift was still en route. There was not much I could do. Theft of this kind is rampant in this area. I hated feeling so helpless. So someone had stolen from me, whatever, but they had also stolen my 3-year-old cousin's gift. That was what prompted me to get back at the thief/thieves. And here is where the revenge takes place. I had watched other videos on YouTube about a few people, or maybe it was one person, whom had made these bait packages that take videos of the thieves, fling glitter everywhere and fire off a few spurts of fart spray. Those videos I thoroughly enjoyed watching. Sadly, I could not afford one of those, nor do I have the technical know-how in order to make one. I also wanted to buy a GPS to hide in a package and bait them that way, but again, I could not, so I improvised. I have a cat. He is still a growing cat. He eats quite a lot and drinks quite a lot, so every day I have to clean his litter box. I buy the type of litter that clumps. Well, it's supposed to hide the odor of cat waste. Supposed to. That is when the light bulb above my head begins to light up. I take an old box that my studio headphones came in. I then gently scoop clumped cat crap and dried urine gently into the box. So after I am finished doing that, I put it into an old online retail website delivery bag I also had lying around. I added a few ounces of water to aid in the scent of cat crap decaying. I sealed the bag with super glue at the top and made it look like it was just delivered and set it out in front of my apartment door. I put the package outside my front door on a Monday, the day after my initial packages were stolen. By Friday, my neighbor had informed me the bait package was stolen. He was apprised of my plan and knew not to touch it. So the plan had worked. I did not get to see or hear the aftermath, but the neighbor did. The neighbors below him had complained to him that the online retail website had sent them crap. And they also said one of them was covered in it. I'm guessing the water aided in partially liquefying the cat waste and they stuck their hand in the box expecting headphones but not grasping headphones. Apparently when they stuck their hand in the box they also lifted the box over their head and it came pouring out all over them. My neighbor and I had a long 20-minute laugh about that. So yeah, moral of the story kids, don't steal other people's things. You might end up with treasure or you might end up with a crappy shower. And that, my friends, is what I would call textbook petty revenge. Well done, my friend. And in addition, I would once again like to encourage all of my viewers, in case you have an interesting story to share, please don't hesitate and head over to r/ripe stories on Reddit, where you can share your own story and there's a good chance that I will read it in a video if it is an interesting story. And guys, unfortunately we have already reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you haven't already, please also go to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where I upload exclusive Reddit videos starting at just $3 a month. This is a great way to support me in case you are interested, and the chance for me to become independent from YouTube revenue. Thank you so much for watching, please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.